Paul, listen to me. It wasn't gonna work.
I'm not gonna hit you.
We could still be friends. I thought an annulment would be the easiest. You just have to sign it. I'm sorry, Paul.
Paul, are you all right?
I'm fine.
Paul's wife thought something had finally pushed him over the edge. What she didn't know was that Paul had been waiting for the divorce papers all along. Not long before that, Paul had just returned from the war. On the train home, he met a young woman who would completely change his life. The woman was trying to lift her suitcase onto the rack, but it slipped and fell to the floor. Without thinking, Paul stepped in to help. At that exact moment, the train suddenly jolted. Neither of them was ready, and they crashed straight into each other. In the confusion, the woman accidentally picked up Paul's train ticket. That small mix-up ended up setting everything else in motion. When he came back, the woman had fallen asleep. Paul didn't wake her, and soon drifted off himself. But when he woke up again, the woman was gone. Worse, Paul had been forced off the train early. He had no idea what had happened, but he had no choice except to keep going by bus. The passengers on the bus clearly didn't like the smell of his uniform, but by pure coincidence, the same woman from the train was on that bus too. Her name was Victoria. Because she had taken Paul's ticket by mistake, he had been removed from the train. Paul didn't get angry. Instead, the two of them started talking, and quickly hit it off. That's when two troublemakers boarded the bus. They walked straight toward Victoria, and started making crude comments. Paul, a former soldier, wasn't about to ignore that. The men got angry, pretended to back off, then suddenly tried to attack him. It didn't work. Paul took them down in seconds. Surprisingly, the bus driver didn't thank him. Instead, he kicked Paul off the bus along with the troublemakers. But when Paul saw the gratitude on Victoria's face, he felt like it was worth it. He thought that would be the last time they'd see each other. But fate had other plans. Before long, Paul ran into Victoria again. This time, she was sitting alone by the road, crying. Paul gently tried to comfort her. After what had happened earlier, Victoria realized he wasn't a bad guy, so she told him the truth. She was a student, who had trusted the wrong man. She'd been taken advantage of, got pregnant, and was then abandoned. With nowhere else to go, she packed up and headed home. But her father was extremely strict. She was terrified of facing him, which left her completely stuck. After hearing her story, Paul came up with an idea. The plan was simple. Victoria would bring home a husband. They'd pretend to be married. Once the family focused their anger on the husband, he would quietly disappear, and Victoria could move on. There was just one problem. Who would agree to play the fake husband? Paul immediately volunteered. Part of it was kindness, but part of it came from his own broken marriage. Paul had spent years fighting overseas. He survived the war, and finally came home. But on the day he returned, everyone else was greeted by family. Paul stood alone in the rain. When he got home, his wife was distant and cold. The letters he had written over 4 years were still unopened. Paul understood what that meant, but he didn't confront her. Instead, she quickly sent him away on a business trip. On paper, it was a high-paying job. In reality, it was selling chocolate in uniform. So Paul took the trip as a chance to think about his future, and help Victoria at the same time. They soon arrived near Victoria's home. Before meeting her family, Paul made sure they looked the part. A married couple needed a ring, so he used a chocolate wrapper to make a simple one. Just like that, they were married. As they approached the house, gunshots suddenly rang out. By instinct, Paul shielded Victoria. The man holding the gun was her father. He clearly didn't welcome Paul. Just as Victoria had feared, her father exploded with anger. But the rest of the family reacted very differently. They liked Paul immediately. Even the grandfather tried Paul's chocolate, and praised it. The father was furious, but he was outnumbered. Later, Victoria's mother asked her privately if this marriage was truly what she wanted. If it was real, she would stand by her daughter. That night, the family prepared a huge dinner to welcome Paul. Victoria and Paul told the story they had rehearsed, and it sounded convincing. But the peace didn't last long. The father openly insulted Paul. He looked down on his background, and said he didn't belong in the family. To him, Paul was just a nobody. No matter how much Victoria defended him, her father refused to let up. Humiliated, Paul stepped outside for air. Victoria followed and apologized. Paul said he didn't mind. He was just jealous that she had a family like this. Having grown up in an orphanage, Paul had always dreamed of belonging somewhere. That was why he tried so hard to protect marriage and family. Those words made Victoria see him differently. Later that night, her mother prepared a wedding room for them, and quietly left roses behind. But both of them knew this was all an act. Paul gave the bed to Victoria, and planned to sleep on the floor. That's when her father knocked. According to tradition, newlyweds needed their parents' blessing before sleeping. In a panic, Paul jumped into bed, and they held each other tightly. The father almost left. But something felt off. To avoid suspicion, they stayed together. In the middle of the night, an alarm rang out. A frost was threatening the vineyard. The family rushed to light fires and spread warmth through the fields. Paul joined in, learning quickly with Victoria's help. Her father watched from a distance. His hostility slowly softened. At dawn, Paul packed his bags to leave. But the grandfather stopped him. He took Paul deep into the vineyard and encouraged him to follow his heart. For the first time, Paul felt real family warmth. He decided to stay one more day. His return made Victoria genuinely happy. That day was harvest day. Everyone worked together. Paul and the father quietly competed side by side. By the end, the father respected him a little more. During the celebration, their feelings finally boiled over. But at the last moment, Paul pulled away. He knew he wasn't free yet. So he chose to leave. Then disaster struck. A fire destroyed the vineyard. Paul ran straight into the flames, trying to save what he could. The next day, everyone was devastated. That's when Paul found a living vine. Life was still there. As long as something survived, there was hope. In the end, the father fully accepted Paul. A new wedding was planned, and Paul finally let go of his past and stepped into a new life.